England coming off a win, Scotland coming off a loss, but it's the Scots who are looking to achieve a fifth straight win in the Calcutta Cup on Saturday. Hello, amateurs. Welcome back to our Six Nations series. I've got Mr. Phil Greenaway with me again. There's Phil.
How you doing, guys? Good to see you all.
Thanks for being with me, Phil. And of course, we are going to be looking at the England-Scotland fixture this weekend. And just let's take a little look back. Where are these teams coming from? I mentioned a win for England and a loss for Scotland, but it's not quite that simple. How would you rate England's performance last time out?
I think England will be really happy with what they did. I think they probably give themselves a 7 out of 10 across the board. I think, never quite managed to let France get away and hung in the game and won it last minute. They'd like to be a bit more convincing in a lot of areas. But as we spoke about, Tim, what a helter-skelter game of rugby. Unbelievable. So, I think England will know that they'll have had to go away and improve quite a lot in certain key areas, but they'll have been really happy with that performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the Scots, I'll talk about them. I think they really struggled to show up against the Irish. They got choked a little bit. That being said, and having lost two key players in the first half, they still did manage to battle back for a period around half time, but then were blown away in the end. So I think confidence might be a bit tricky for the Scots this coming Saturday. But let's look at the England selection first. And we will start with the forwards. And we are pretty similar here, apart from Chesham coming in for Martin in the second row. What do you think about these forward selections, Phil?
Yeah, I think, the back row went well last week, didn't it? And then the other Curry brother coming off the bench, I thought made a real impact. I thought Chesham was excellent off the bench in terms of his carries. And I think Will Stewart is growing into being an international tight end a little bit. Whether he's the long-term answer, I'm not sure, but he's certainly been good in the first two games for me. So line-out worries again last week a little bit in that first half. Genge under a bit of pressure in the scrum, but I think it's a solid pack who Steve Borthwick will back.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a question mark as well from me whether Cowan Dickey would start or whether Jamie George would come back in for his better arrows, but he was so influential, I thought, off the bench and just adding that seniority and calmness at the end of the game that I would have picked it this way round, and that's what Borthwick's done as well. Just regarding Genge and his scrummaging, he did give a couple of penalties away, but he was being quite aggressive and won a couple of scrums as well. So it was a bit of a balancing act there for him. Yeah, I'd like to see him not give those penalties away as well. And I agree on the back row, very balanced. It looks gnarly. It's got everything, hasn't it? Carry, it's got tackle, it's got breakdown threat, it's got everything you need there as well, including line out, because Willis can jump quite effectively too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think also just on that one, Tim, I think Chesham coming back in is a better line-out operator than George Martin, and that might be the thought process.
Yeah, 100%. He definitely is. And I think that helps. Also, when you're talking about hookers as well, it helps knowing that you've got a real quality line-out jumper to throw to. Like just the overall confidence, it all adds up. So maybe we'll see Karen Dickey throw, 10 out of 10s this week. We'll see. Okay, onto the backs. And the big point here, I guess, was Borthwick going to continue with Smith and Smith? I thought he would, and he has. Phil, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I think Finn Smith went well last week. I think Marcus Smith went well at fullback. Will Scotland challenge Marcus Smith a little bit more with a few more high bombs, etc.? I think possibly. But I thought Ollie Slightholme went really, really well last week. I like his edge. I like his, he's got genuine pace. And Freeman obviously was outstanding under the high ball. So, yeah, I thought Finn Smith managed the game and drove the team around the pitch really, really well and really showed his maturity. And the execution for that try at the end, that first phase possession was excellent.
Yeah, it was. You're right. Tactically, whether Scotland will challenge Marcus in the air, because Duhan's big and tall, but he's not the greatest in the air. Like, he doesn't always get it right. So maybe they'll try and get Kinghorn to be challenging him sometimes. They'll manufacture a situation where they can get Kinghorn to be the chaser, because he is really, truly excellent up in the skies. Okay, onto the bench here. And this is the change today. George Martin injured. So Ted Hill has come into the bench and covering second row. Interestingly, obviously not an out-and-out lock, but he's played some rugby in the second row for Bath this year. So, and he's got the physique, he's got the stature, and he's a good line-out forward. He's a really good line-out forward. So maybe that's his future.
Yeah, and a 6-2 split again on the bench. Cunningham South, I think, can pop in the row if he absolutely has to. I'm not sure he would like it in there, but he can certainly. He's big enough and ugly enough to shove in there. And yeah, that might drop the line out to 5-man lineouts and stuff, and with those operators on there. But Ted Hill, I really like him. I really, really like him, and I really hope we see sort of 20 minutes at least off the bench from him where he can tear up. And again, Daly won us the game last week off the bench. Hopefully he'll have a similar impact, but maybe the game might be won before then. And Randall, didn't get on last week, so tough call on him. So let's hope he at least gets some minutes.
Yeah, tough call on Randall and Cunningham South, who also didn't get on. But I think it's good to see. There was a period of time, and it probably still is that time now, where it just felt like every sub was always going to get used at some point. So it's good to see that, A, players can last 80 minutes, and B, coaches are brave enough to keep them on if they think they're the right players for the job at the time. Also, I want to pick out Ben Curry there because his energy off the bench last week or 2 weeks ago, I should say, was phenomenal. And obviously, you're going to get all of that again whenever he's on the pitch. He's an absolute phenom. Okay, on to the Scots. Yes, that's correct. Those are the Scots. Right, okay, forwards first. And Schumann comes back into the front row and Ritchie into the back row ahead of Fagerson. Now, Ritchie's obviously a little bit more of a sort of a breakdown specialist, whether Fagerson was more of a sort of a carrying number 6. Yeah, interesting choices by the Scots here. What do you make of it, Phil?
Well, I really like their front row. I think Schumann and Fagerson in the front row are brilliant ball carriers, aggressive, make a lot of tackles. They'll be very, very close to that Lions playing, if not, that Lions test team, those two. Gray and Gilchrist, good workmanlike around the pitch, good line-out operators. And the back row, I think, is really interesting because Scotland, for the last couple of years, have done a number on England at the breakdown. And that might be the reason why you see Ritchie in there above Fagerson. Dempsey's been getting better since coming back from injury, and Darge is an absolute workhorse as well. So I think the back row battle is going to be absolutely fascinating on Saturday against France. I worried a little bit. I thought England got a little bit isolated at times, but the French were slow to get in and turn over. So I think the back row battle is just going to be enormous. It's going to be fascinating to watch.
Picking out the props there again, I think Fagerson last time out struggled against Porter in the first half. He was just scrummaging a little bit high. He got a lot lower in the second half. It sounds like a real basic thing in terms of scrummaging, but it's true. And Genge often struggles when the scrums go down quite low. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of height Fagerson is scrumming at the start of the game at the weekend. Okay, let's take a look at the backs. And the big news here is that Finn Russell is fit and available to play. Darcy Graham not, though, which I think that's kind of what everybody expected, to be honest. Kyle Rowe coming in for him. What are you making of these Scottish backs?
Yeah, it's a good backline, isn't it? And it's a backline that's caused England a lot of problems in the last couple of years. So, great to see Finn Russell back. Nobody wants a Calcutta Cup to be played without Finn Russell in there, pulling the strings for Scotland. His kicking game and the kicking game of Ben White is the worry for the challenge on Marcus Smith at fullback and how much they challenge him. Kingholm's been in great form in the top 14. Van der Merwe can create absolute havoc, and I think Rowe's been doing a great job in the Celtic lead. So exciting backline and could cause England real problems.
Yeah, it could. Tom Jordan there at 12, I think, is the key man here for Scotland. Can he fill Sione Tuipulotu's shoes, really? Because that's so much revolved around Tuipulotu. And Jordan clearly is a really good player, but Tuipulotu play has come after years of sort of entrenchment in this Scottish side and building relationships. So it's very difficult. If he can do that, then I'm certain that this Scottish backline will again cause England some troubles. Okay, onto the bench. And all pretty much as expected here, but 6-2 bench again for the Scots, not getting spooked by losing 2 of their backs in the first half last week and going for it again. I think it's the right choice. Obviously losing 2 of their top players in the first half wasn't ideal, but it didn't really hurt them in terms of having 6-2 or 5-3. It made no difference, really, I don't think, in the end.
No, and I think they're expecting a big four battle up front on Saturday, aren't they? And they've got some class on the bench with Ferguson, some experience with Skinner, Sutherland. So I think they look really, really balanced, and I'm sure they'll come on and create havoc in that second half.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the scrum contest towards the end could be interesting because Baxter's definitely got the bit between his teeth at the moment, and Will Hurd, he's third choice really at Leicester Tigers. So it's he's a bit down the pecking order there. Let's see if England can get some dominance in the scrum towards the end. Alrighty, what are we thinking, Phil? How do you think this game's going to pan out?
Oh man, look, I think it's going to be a really tight affair. I've not looked at the weather forecast for the weekend, so hopefully it's dry and sunny, and we'll see some rugby played. Two sides who really need a win, in my view. England need to back up their performance against France last week with a good performance. Hopefully, that's given them the confidence. And Scotland had a good win against Italy, but never really got into top gear in that game, I felt. And obviously, they really struggled at times against the Irish last week, but as did England, in the opener. So I think this is a really, really intriguing game of rugby. I'm going to be absolutely fascinated by how this unfolds. What does Scotland come to do? Do they come to play? Do they play all court game and really look to cut England to pieces? What's their tactical kicking game going to be like? Can England set piece really give them some dominance? And can they get on the front foot nice and early and really damage the Scottish team? So, look, I genuinely think this is going to be a really fascinating game. Scotland have got a number over England at the moment, and there will be some nervousness in the England camp, knowing that they've not won this fixture for a long, long time. So they'll be looking to get that monkey off their back. Will they be a little bit desperate? I don't know. If you're asking for a prediction, Tim,
Yeah, go on, do it now. Go on.
I am going to go with Scotland.
Wow, what score? What score?
Scotland 29, England 27. Scotland win the game.
Holy moly!
With a late score.
Okay, interesting. I mean, it's so interesting because Scotland's biggest strength, attacking through the wide channels, is one of England's biggest weaknesses. So if that all tears up, then you could see Scotland scoring another couple of worldies at Twickenham on Saturday and causing England all kinds of trouble. I think England need to stop it at source. I think they need to be aggressive through that middle part of the defence and stop Scotland even having opportunities to do that. And if they can, because they've been good at that part of the defensive system, then they might get some joy. On the other side of the ball, England need line-out ball. They need quality line-out possession. And hopefully Chesham will be able to provide that. And if they can get that, and if they can get into some attacking flow earlier in the game, then they can certainly cause Scotland a whole load of problems as well. I think England are going to do it. I think it's going to be tight for a while, but I actually think England might pull away. I'm going to go 27-12 to England. A big win.
Brilliant. I'm looking forward to it, Tim. I'm sitting on a table tomorrow night, the Penguin 65th anniversary dinner. I know there's a lot of Scots involved in that group, so hopefully my prediction means that I don't get too bullied tomorrow night because I'm on the Scottish table. If I wasn't going to that dinner, would my prediction be different? I don't think so. I genuinely think that Scotland have got a real chance, and with Finn Russell back fit, they love beating us. They love beating us so much. So, yeah, I think it could be just that tight game, and Scotland just nick it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see, won't we? I mean, Finn's back, but he hasn't been playing that well this championship. So that's the other key thing. If he's back and at his best, then this could be a really, really, really close game, I think. Yeah. Alrighty. That's what we think, people. But what do you think at home? Have we got it right? Well, one of us has definitely not got it right because we've gone the opposite way. But what do you guys think? Any players that we haven't mentioned that you think are going to play a massive role? Let us know in the comments down below. We'll join you there for a friendly conversation. Give the video a thumbs up while you're down there. If you don't mind, it helps other great rugby fans like you find it. So, Phil, thank you so much. Enjoy your dinner tomorrow night and enjoy the rugby this weekend.
Thanks very much, Tim. You take care, and I hope everyone has a great weekend watching the Six Nations. Some great games out there this weekend.
100%. And you can subscribe there. You can watch that one next. And don't forget to get out and play.